Imagine for a moment that your life could change in an instant. Picture yourself holding a lottery ticket, not just for a few $1,000,000, but for hundreds of millions. A ticket with the power to rewrite your destiny, fulfill every dream, and change the course of your family's future. Now, imagine that through a simple, ordinary mistake, you lose that ticket. You toss it away, not just into the kitchen trash, but into a labyrinth of refuse, an endless sea of garbage where it vanishes, swallowed up by mountains of waste and time. This isn't a scene from a thriller or a tragic novel. This is the true story of a man named James Howells, who accidentally threw away a hard drive containing the digital keys to 8,000 Bitcoin, now worth over 220 million, lost forever beneath the surface of a landfill in Wales. As the world marvels at the meteoric rise of digital assets, and as ordinary people transform into overnight millionaires, James's story stands as a haunting reminder of how a single, fleeting decision can echo across a lifetime. What would you do if you realized your fortune was lost? Not to a thief, not to a crash, but to a careless moment. A piece of trash carried away by a garbage truck. Today, we unravel the tale of James Howells, his innocent beginnings, the fateful choice, the agony of regret, and the lessons his ordeal offers to us all about value, vigilance, and the weight of our everyday decisions. Let's rewind to 2009. A year when Bitcoin was, to most, nothing more than an obscure experiment. The world was still recovering from the global financial crisis. Few people imagined that internet money could ever amount to much. James Howells, an IT engineer living in Newport, Wales, was among the early adopters. Curious, technically savvy, and always looking for the next big thing, James began mining Bitcoin. At the time, Bitcoin was worth fractions of a cent. Mining was easy. Any computer could do it. For James, it was just another side project, a hobby. He mined 8,000 Bitcoin, barely thinking twice about it. In those early days, Bitcoin had no established value. It was a novelty, a digital oddity discussed in niche forums and chat rooms. The idea of it becoming a store of value, let alone a force capable of overturning the global financial system, was almost laughable. James stored his Bitcoin private keys, the cryptographic passcodes required to access his coins, on a hard drive, treating it with the same care as any other mundane piece of technology. To him, the hard drive was just another component, destined eventually for the recycling bin. Time passed. The world changed. The hard drive, holding the digital keys to a fortune, sat untouched, gathering dust among other forgotten gadgets and cables. Life's priorities shifted. New interests replaced old ones. The value of Bitcoin remained negligible, and the hard drive became little more than clutter. Its true worth hidden, waiting for the world to catch up. Fast forward to 2013. By now, Bitcoin had begun to attract attention. Its value, once measured in pennies, had started to climb. But for James, the hard drive remained an afterthought. One day, he decided to declutter his home. It was a simple, routine act, one that millions of us perform without a second thought. He gathered up old electronics, tangled cords, obsolete devices, and stuffed them into a large black garbage bag. Among the debris was the fateful hard drive, the one containing the keys to his Bitcoin. Perhaps, for a split second, he hesitated. Perhaps he wondered if he should double-check. But the moment passed. The hard drive joined the rest of the old electronics in the bag. James hauled the bag outside and tossed it into the bin, unaware that he had just discarded more than metal and plastic. He had thrown away a future of unimaginable wealth. A garbage truck arrived. The bag, with its precious cargo, was collected and driven away to the Newport landfill, a sprawling, ever-growing mountain of waste, where millions of tons of trash are dumped and buried every year. And there, beneath layers of refuse, the hard drive disappeared, swallowed by the earth and the passage of time. Days passed. Weeks turned into months. Life went on. Then, as Bitcoin's value began its historic ascent, the world sat up and took notice. News headlines began to feature stories of overnight millionaires. Bitcoin soared past 100. Then, $1,000. The digital asset was on everyone's lips. For James, a moment of realization struck, one that would change the course of his life. He remembered the hard drive. He remembered the 8,000 Bitcoin. He remembered with a wave of horror that he had thrown it all away. As the price of Bitcoin continued to skyrocket, so too did the magnitude of his loss. What was once a trivial side project had transformed into a mind-boggling fortune, now irretrievably lost beneath mountains of garbage. Imagine the crushing weight of that realization. While the world celebrated the birth of a new financial age, and others reaped the rewards of their foresight, James could only watch, haunted by the knowledge that he had once held a golden ticket. The cost of a single careless moment was now counted not in dollars, but in millions, then tens of millions, then hundreds of millions. Each uptick in Bitcoin's price chart was another twist of the knife. For many, the story might have ended there, a lesson in regret, a cautionary tale whispered on internet forums. But for James, it became an obsession. He could not let it go. The thought of his fortune, lying somewhere beneath the Newport landfill, tormented him day and night. He began to plot a way to recover what had been lost. James approached the Newport City Council with an extraordinary proposal: allow him to excavate the landfill in search of the hard drive. He was willing to fund the entire operation himself, offering millions of dollars in compensation to the city. He brought forward detailed plans, researched the landfill's structure, consulted with engineers, and even suggested the use of advanced technology: AI-powered sorting machines, robotic excavators, sniffer dogs trained to detect electronics. No expense would be spared. But the city authorities were unmoved. The environmental risks were significant. Excavating a landfill, they argued, could release toxic gases and disrupt delicate ecological balances. The costs were astronomical, the odds of success minuscule. Finding a single hard drive among millions of tons of waste was, in their words, akin to searching for a needle in a haystack. If the needle had been thrown into the haystack years ago and buried under layers upon layers of new hay every day. James pleaded his case, became a fixture in the local news, and even attracted international attention. His story became a modern legend, a parable for the age of digital assets. But the answer remained no. The hard drive and the fortune it contained were to remain entombed in the landfill, perhaps forever. Yet, the story is more than a personal tragedy. It's a mirror reflecting the hopes, fears, and failings of our digital age. In James's lost hard drive, we see the incredible potential and peril of assets that exist only as lines of code, protected by cryptographic keys, vulnerable to the smallest oversight. The era of digital wealth demands new forms of responsibility. It asks us to treat invisible assets with the same care and vigilance as gold bars or stacks of cash. For James, the lesson is a daily torment, a reminder that the smallest choices can have consequences beyond our imagination. For the rest of us, it's a warning. In a world where fortunes are built and lost with the click of a mouse, where access depends on passwords and private keys, the stewardship of our digital wealth is not just a matter of convenience. It's a matter of destiny. But there's more to this story than caution and regret. James Howells' experience has inspired countless others to take digital security seriously. People who once scoffed at the idea of internet money now guard their wallets and passwords with utmost care. The saga of the lost Bitcoin hard drive has become a rallying cry for personal vigilance in the face of technological revolution. And yet, the haunting question lingers. What if the hard drive is found? What if one day, by sheer luck or stubborn determination, James, or someone else, manages to unearth the treasure? The odds are long, but not impossible. Landfills have yielded lost artifacts before. Stories abound of rings, heirlooms, even valuable paintings emerging from the trash after years underground. For now, the hard drive remains lost, a modern-day legend buried alongside the hopes and dreams of its owner. But the lesson endures. Money, whether digital or physical, is like grains of sand in your hand. If you don't hold it carefully, it can slip away. Sometimes it drifts into a vast landfill of regret, joining the countless fortunes lost to time, chance, and carelessness. James's story is not just about Bitcoin or even about money. It's about the power of small decisions, the fragility of opportunity, and the need for foresight in a rapidly changing world. It's a story that reminds us all The future is shaped not just by grand plans and bold investments, but by the choices we make every day, often without even realizing their significance. So, what can we learn from the $220 million Bitcoin mystery? First, value your assets, no matter how trivial they may seem today. The world is changing faster than any of us can predict, and what appears worthless now may one day hold unimaginable value. Second, take digital security seriously. Passwords, backups, private keys, these are the new vaults, the new safes. Guard them as you would your most precious belongings. And finally, never underestimate the impact of a single moment. A careless toss, a forgotten password, a decision made in haste. These can shape your destiny as surely as any investment or business deal. As the legend of James Howells and his lost Bitcoin fortune continues to captivate the world, let it serve as both a warning and an inspiration. The age of digital wealth is here, bringing with it new opportunities and new risks. Let's learn from the past, protect our futures, and never take for granted the value of what we hold, even if it fits in the palm of our hand. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of the most remarkable and cautionary tales of our financial era. Stay vigilant, stay informed, and remember, sometimes the most valuable things in life are the ones we risk losing when we're not paying attention. This is Money Talks Daily, where we uncover the strange and impactful stories that define our financial world. If you found this story compelling, don't forget to share your thoughts, subscribe for more, and above all, safeguard your digital assets. Until next time, remember, the smallest decisions can have the biggest consequences.